New York City, 1920. The First World War was over. Flush with victory and dreams of riches, America was ready for something new. Manhattan was the place to be. New Yorkers were feeling confident and sassy.
We had close to 20 newspapers. There was almost 80 Broadway theaters. The subways cost a nickel. Babe Ruth was playing in the Bronx.
People are watching the invention of the assembly line. The whole idea of the middle class is being invented, the idea of middle-class leisure and middle-class consumerism. We see the invention of the radio as we know it. We see the first talkies.
With the wedding bells ringing merrily, and the organ booming forth its impressive message of... Oh, shut up.
There's a kind of awestruck mood at how much is going on.
The connoisseurs of the new culture could be found at a daily lunch, at a circular table, inside a hotel called the Algonquin. They became known as the Algonquin Round Table.
They were underemployed writers and editors, and they just enjoyed each other's company, and they all had an affection for the English language.
All the things I really like to do are either immoral, illegal, or fattening.
That woman speaks 18 languages and can't say no in any of them.
Why don't you get out of that wet coat and into a dry martini?
Every day for 10 years, this group of wisecrackers, wordsmiths, poets, and cynics would breathe new life into American humor and captivate the public with their effortless wit.
Anything can happen, but it usually doesn't.
Beauty is only skin deep, but ugly goes clean to the bone.
It was the era of, like they said, wonderful nonsense.
The Algonquin Round Table was part of a decade that, while it lasted, would be unlike any in history.
Attention, everyone. Yeah. Maybe Dorothy would consent to recite one of her little things for us.
Oh, great idea. Well, maybe I'll just digest my little supper and sing for it later.
Oh, please, Dorothy. Something bilious for dessert.
No, something bubbly, Mrs. Parker.
Something bubbly bilious. Double bubbly, but don't bill us.
One more drink and I'll be under the host.
Oh, please, Mrs. Parker, do honor us with one of your darling little poems.
Resume. Razors pain you, rivers are damp, acids stain you, and drugs cause cramp. Guns aren't lawful, nooses give, gas smells awful. You might as well live.
Bravo! 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 Bravo!
Robert Benchley, writer, born 1889, died 1945. Numbered amongst America's best-known humorists whose often absurd jottings influenced many other comedy writers, Robert Benchley was truly one of a kind. Not only did he enjoy a widely varied career as columnist, drama critic, and actor, but he could bullshit with the best of them. He loved to mislead and play and confuse, claiming, quite madly, that he was born in 1807, wrote A Tale of Two Cities, of course, written by the great Charles Dickens. Married Princess Anastasia of Portugal, that probably burst about there too. Died in 1871 and was buried at Westminster Abbey. Like Charles Dickens and Byron. And where was I? Yeah, alright. Sorry about the background noise. People have decided to just go places on Sunday. Maybe it's mosque stuff, I don't know. You know, prayer days tend to be on like Sundays. It's like almost like as a universal thing. But, at the expense of being blasphemous, that's what happens with religions that are cousins of Christianity, so to speak. Right, back to it. But behind the sophisticated urbane image, the boozy nonchalance of a man holding a dry martini with an acid-laced quip, always at the ready, the master wag, was an utter drunkard. A walking series of contradictions, according to his grandson, Nat Benchley. A finger-shaking teetotaler who drank himself to death. Well, he's not a teetotaler then, is he? And a family man who spent most of his later years 3,000 miles away from his wife and sons. So, yeah, funny, but also wanker. Sounds about right. He was born in Worcester, Massachusetts, to a nice middle-class family and wrote extensively for Vanity Fair and The New Yorker. God, Vanity Fair's been going that long. As well as undertaking freelance assignments. His output was prodigious, considering he claimed to be intensely lazy. Maybe I'm related to him. I do my best work when, I seem to do, when I barely can be asked. Maybe I should do that more, but balance it a bit. There's a story that he submitted as a magazine piece titled "I Like to Love," 2 weeks after deadline. His explanatory note: I was loafing. He was certainly a great wit and immensely quotable, once saying, I have tried to absolutely know nothing about a great many things, and I have succeeded fairly well. And then, no doubt, with a martini in his hand, a Puritan is one who sits around all day worrying that someone else is having a good time. One year, Benchley received notice that his income taxes were being audited. The IRS requested he fill out a detailed form outlining every cent he made and spent over the last decade. He eyed the document, scrawled, "Don't be silly," across it, and sent it back. 2 Treasury Department agents arrived the next morning to interrogate him. I wonder if Elliot Ness was one of them. Unless he was too young. Anyway. An early advocate of prohibition, would you believe, by his early 30s, Benchley was a boozer of some distinction, indulging all-night benders with boozy chums. You know what? Kind of the jokey thing about him being born in 1807. I'm surprised he didn't joke about, being part of the Temperance League, which was a good 60 between 60 and 80 years before Prohibition. That was actually invented by, or drummed up by people kind of my neck of the woods. I say my neck of the woods, but it was Manchester. I mean, West Yorkshire, surrounding areas, Leeds area kind of thing, used to be historically part of the Lancashire kind of Manchester kind of area. So you can thank us fuddy-duddy northerners in the Victorian times for giving the Americans that idea. The Temperance League, which someone else did a video on, and I also did a fun fact video on, so I'll put that as a reference, as a mention in this video. But digressing again. But it's all in good fun, I hope. It's not about the rambling, it's how you do the rambling, or whatever. The only cure for a real hangover is death, he once said, with the voice of bitter experience. Caught in a rain shower one afternoon, he arrived home soaking wet and called to his butler, "Get me out of this wetsuit and into a dry martini." I have no idea how he sounded, but this made me try to kind of do a slightly camp, posh, not quite Boston thing. Like how JFK's old man, Joe Patrick Kennedy, kind of sounded. A little bit, but less Irish. Leaving a particularly swank night spot, he eyed a well-uniformed gentleman at the door whom he commanded to summon him a taxicab. The man looked scornfully at Benchley and announced that he was an admiral of the United States Navy. "All right then," said Benchley, "get us a battleship." At Vanity Fair, he worked with the redoubtable Dorothy Parker. I think she's in this book too. They made quite a mischievous team. When the staff were ordered not to discuss their respective salaries, Benchley and Parker paraded around the office with homemade signs strung from their necks, proudly announcing their pitiful earnings. And when management introduced a policy requiring all employees to fill out a form, even if they were just a few minutes late, Benchley took great exception. Fucking I would too. Excuse my French. Or Norman in my case. One morning, he was 11 minutes late and scrawled in the teeniest handwriting imaginable his excuse that on the way to work, a herd of elephants from a nearby circus had escaped and, fearing pandemonium, he had chased the beasts up Firth Avenue to Central Park when he managed to ride them, a la Tarzan, back to the big top in safety. Benchley was never asked to fill in another lake form. Together with Parker, Benchley was a leading member of the renowned Algonquin Round Table, or the Vicious Circle, as they called themselves. Other notables included playwright Robert Sherwood and Harpo Marx. They would put your tongue back in, Arkwright, as I say. Or King James. The middle name is actually James. After my late brother, morbidly so. And it is fitting, kind of, I guess. Because this is quite a morbid book. You know, cosmically funny, in the words of Plankton. I'll shut the fuck up now. It's a shame that I don't know how to automatically bleep my swear words, because it's going to get a lot worse. For example, I might just have to substitute certain words with, for example, Robert Mitchum. Yeah, Robert Mitchum meets an African warlord or something like that. And speaking of, my next video in general is going to be about an African place anyway. I'm going to go back into my fun with flag facts, because I felt inspired from a question on the Chase about what was Salisbury, was the former capital name of which country. Which I might have spoiled for my 20 questions too. Oh, bugger. But yeah, Harare, which Salisbury came Harare, used to be with an E at the end, and then they're taking off the E for some reason. Was it always Harare or Harare? Any Southern Africans, Southern-ish Africans or whatever on my channel that check out my channel, maybe, would you know? If you haven't dipped out at this point with my rambling. Yeah, they would. Yeah, back to it. Where were we? In fact, Bob Benchley's entry is shorter than I thought it would be. I mean, I've read it before, but I forgot how short it was, which gives me plenty of time. They would, yeah. I think I haven't read this yet. This bit. They would regularly meet for several hours of witty banter and scathing gossip. All right, Jimmy Volmer, you got it out of your system. They really were New York's smart set. Benchley's brilliant humour soon gained the attention of Hollywood, and he was brought over to make a series of comedy shorts, besides playing several film roles, notably in Alfred Hitchcock's Foreign Correspondent, 1940. His grandson Peter would decades later make an even bigger splash in movies, when his novel Jaws was turned into a box office sensation. Oh yeah, I think I knew that from somewhere. Robert Benchley. I thought it was just a coincidence. Like how, there's the odd famous Roberts and Jones and all that kind of thing with the vaguely Irish, Welshy kind of names that pop up every now and again. Or posh names. But Benchley felt awkward and adrift in Hollywood. When the classic film about alcoholism, The Lost Weekend, was being shot in Hollywood, an exact duplicate of a Third Avenue bar was erected on the soundstage at Paramount. I forgot Paramount was that old too. Probably like 19. It's probably like it's probably either before World War I or just after. Every afternoon at 5 o'clock, without fail, the door of the set would open. A man would walk up to the bar, order a straight bourbon, chat about the weather, pay his 50 cents, and stroll out. It was Benchley, homesick for New York. Homesick for New York? Why the bloody hell would he be homesick for New York? I suppose maybe if it was upstate New York, it looks pretty nice there. bit countryish. Right. In his private life, Benchley admitted not being the perfect husband and a largely absentee father to his sons. He even voiced disappointment that he never pursued a career as a serious writer, but he loved it was so lovely. Jimmy. But he was loved so deeply by friends that when he was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver and lay in hospital hemorrhaging to death, 40 people showed up to volunteer to give blood. Yeah, similar thing kind of happened to Charles Bukowski, the greatest American urban poet of all time. Probably the greatest urban poet of all time. The modern ones are just boring. He didn't hear it from me. And he's in this book. Yeah, I haven't read about him yet. Read his entry yet. His condition, however, continued to deteriorate, and Benchley passed away. As he once admitted, "I know I'm drinking myself to a slow death, but then I'm in no hurry." It sounds funnier than the Marx Brothers, actually. Yeah, so that's it. I'm going to put the things in there that I mentioned. Those of you who haven't seen my Fun with Flag Facts episodes, I'm going to put the playlist. Excuse me, bit gassy. I was windbagging away with the wind a bit there, so yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, I'm going to put the playlist to my Fun with Flag Facts episodes. It should automatically update when I put my next one in there. The 13th episode, I do the theme of it being in Dutch translations of the numbers, because the flag society, there's two flag vexillology societies. One in the US that started off in the US, and then there was one in another one that's Netherlands, so Dutch. And the American one would just be English, I suppose, which is like, yeah, I wanted something a bit more eye-catching, and it's like, Lee, why have you put them in like a foreign language? It's like, that's why. But I'll shut my gob now, end the video. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, get to editing this, and then do my next video that I mentioned after this. So, as Winnie the Pooh like to say, TTFN, ta-ta for now, or is it Tigger? Anyway, bye-bye.